Hello YouTube, thought I'd do a quick video here. I've been asked some questions regarding my universal should work with any mobile radio or handheld interface board that will let you get that handheld or mobile radio or any repeater online. What I mean by online is using Zello, or if you just want date and time, weather announcements, repeater ID. This interface board will let you do that. And this interface board hopefully will have a repeater controller function on it, so I can take any mobile radios and turn them into repeaters. Now, I've been doing some videos on this, and I'll post those videos in the link in the description below. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. This interface board does not use Vox. There's no radio modifications. Plug and play. And like I said, I've been doing some different videos and, slowly coming around. And I've been asked through email some questions, and I thought I better kind of elaborate on some of these questions. One of the questions I've been asked is, well, when will this be available? And as I mentioned in the emails, I said, well, hopefully in a couple weeks, or a couple weeks, or a few weeks. But looking back now and kind of gathering some more information, I cannot give you an exact date. I know people have asked about an exact date. Now, if I had to rate this, let's say 10. There's 10 steps. Step number 10, I have a fully functional prototype. Okay? So if I had to rate what step I'm at, I'm going to say step 7. And the reason why I say that, because I'm still testing the COM port functions. I started to do a little bit of audio circuitry work on it, as you saw in my last video. But I still have more to do to it. So that's why I'd say I'm on step number 7, out of 10 for the prototype. Now, when I get the prototype done, I obviously got to test it and make sure all the functions work together and everything works the way it should. So to give exact time frame, it's very difficult, because this depends on how much time I have. Things in life come up. That I can, depending on how much time I have to work on this. There's some days I can't work on it at all. There's some days I spend all day on it. So, that's why I can't really give you an exact date when this will be available. But I'm trying to my best. I'm trying to do 2 things at once. And what I mean by that is I will test a function, leave it run, and as I do other stuff, and then I can come back and see if it's still working correctly. I built some circuitry to help me test the board, so to speak. So that's what I try to do when I'm not even working on the board. I still try to test the board. And that brings me to the next question is, well, how many prototypes do you make? Well, as you can see here, I have 3 different ones. Actually, I have more than that. One of the prototypes, like I just mentioned, I'm testing it now, and I didn't want to unhook it to lay in the pile here. So I actually have like 4 prototypes. There may be a 5th one, but nevertheless, about 4 prototypes. And you're probably wondering, well, why don't you take the parts off the prototypes and reuse the parts? Because the time it takes me to take all these parts off, I could have another prototype almost built. So eventually I will take some of these parts off and reuse them, but that's how I do it. So, but yeah, so to answer that question, people have asked. Another one I get asked is, well, how much is this going to cost? Any idea on price? And no, I really can't give you a price. And the reason being is because when you deal with electronics, parts discontinue, new parts come on the market. So depending on when I get ready to do it, the final product, I got to look at what parts are available, how much, all that good stuff. Shipping costs, all that. Everything changes. So that's why I cannot say a price. I wish I could, but I cannot say a price. and I don't even want to give a ballpark, because I don't want to say it's going to be X amount and then I find out later, ooh, well, gosh, I was off on that. And, I don't want to be saying a price that I'm not 100% sure yet. So that's one thing. Now, the other thing I've been asked is, what functions will this board have? Now, the plan is it's going to have the functions to hook up, hopefully, any mobile radio. It's going to have the functions for any handhelds. It's going to have a function to get that item, whether it's a handheld or a mobile, online with Zello, with date and time and weather announcements, with repeater ID. Now, you can use this as a standalone if you program the handheld or the mobile radio to the repeater frequency you want to connect to, or I'm hoping to have that repeater controller board function that I did a video on. I was kind of showing you it working. So I'm hoping to keep all those functions. Now, here's the thing when it comes to this. As I start to build other circuitry, I have to go back and test the existing functions to make sure they're compatible with any new circuitry I build on the board. So that's where things could change. Now, there might be a situation where if I have to remove a function, it's because of the I have to kind of weigh the design aspect along with parts. Is it worth to make that function work or not? Or do I got to redesign the whole board that I've already been designing for the last month? So that's where functions could be removed. Of course, when we get to that point, I would tell you exactly what that board can and cannot do. So keep that in mind. Now, as I mentioned, like I said, this is a prototype. I still have to do more testing and all that. I'm looking at my notes here if you are wondering what I'm doing. The other thing, too, that I would like to clarify, when I say it should work with all radios, the reason why I am not going to say it will work with every radio, because that's impossible. No manufacturer can guarantee anything 100%. I'm going to say about 85 to 90% it should be compatible with most handhelds and mobile radios out there, that you don't even need a DB9 data port on them. Now, the reason why I'm saying this figure is because I'm going to have adjustments on the board that will compensate between the difference in radios, okay? Now, here's the thing. So far, my idea for that circuit's been working really well. But again, I gotta get all these functions, audio circuit, everything else all on the board to do a final test and make sure it still works properly. What I don't want to have 10 different switches you got to flip, 10 different knobs you got to turn. I'm not going to have that. Okay? If I have to redo something to have that many switches and knobs to turn, then I'm not going to do it. That's just way too many adjustments. I want little as possible for adjustments. So, and the reason being is not just for design capabilities, it's less user error. Okay, so that's kind of the reason why I want little as possible adjustments on here. But there will be some adjustments. So hopefully that answers that question. Documentation in videos. Yes, if I get to that point, obviously I will be making videos on how to set it up, how to use it. There will be written documentations along with videos. Now, I know some of you are probably getting tired of seeing these type of videos, but bear with me. We will get, we'll get beyond that sooner or later. So yes, there will be that. Now, the other question I get is, are you going to have available cables for the mobile radios? And what they're asking is, on a mobile radio, where your microphone plugs in. Usually it's an RJ45 connector on there. Are you going to have cables made up so I can just plug it in and the way I go? And are you going to have those available? To answer that question, at this time, no. The reason being, there's a couple reasons. One reason is there is no way for me to, I'd have to get a hold of all the manufacturers and get all the pinouts to be able to make these cables. Okay? So I don't have enough time in a day to do that. The second thing is the information they give me hopefully is correct. But without having the radio here to verify, like for an example, let's say they tell me pin 1 is ground. Okay, well, until I have that model here to verify that, I don't want to go by just the data. I need more. So I can't check every model, obviously, that's out there. So that's why I came up with the idea with the screw terminals that I'll have on the board, and you can hook up your RJ45 cable accordingly. Don't worry. I know some of you are like, oh, geez, I don't want to do that. I'll make a video when the time comes. It's very simple to do. You don't need any special tools. You don't need any special equipment. I'll show you how you can do it very easily. But that's later down the road. So that's the reason why I'm not going to have these cables. But I hope to have on this interface board the cables for the handhelds and the cable for, like, this one actually has it. The other ones don't because I took them off. This one actually has it. The cable for the speaker on the mobile radio. Those cables I hope to have on the board. Now, the reason why I say hope, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the final product, I got to find a source for these cables. They got to be reasonable. They got to be available. So it depends on all that. So that's why I say I hope to have these cables available. Now, the other thing about when you try to have these cables available, sometimes it's not feasible for me to stock that cable. It's better for you to buy it direct from the seller because I can't sell it for the same price that they're selling it for because I don't want to order 100 cables. So those are the factors where things depend on when it comes to the final product, what's available. Okay, so that's why I can't say for sure if it's going to have this cable, that cable, etc. Of course, I let you know, and if I don't have a specific cable on there, I'll supply links on where you can get one to be able to do what you need to do. So I hope that answers that question. I believe that is most of the questions that I get asked. Again, I'll post in the description all my part 1 videos, or part 1, part 2, etc. to this interface board that I've been working on for, I don't know, a couple weeks now, 3 weeks now, whatever it's been. I'll post those in the description below so you can check them out, see the progress. As I keep going, I'll keep making videos, updating you all, but just be patient with me. We got summer coming up. I get kind of busy, so I hope that I don't get too far behind on this, but I'm going to try to keep working on this as time permits. So if you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.